What is up, everyone, and welcome back to Across the Board, sponsored by MoneyBall Metrics. We have our Friday NFL/MMA edition. I'm excited to be here. I am your host, Alpha Dog Bets, here with my co-hosts, JD from Line Movers, as well as Joe from Moneyline Hacks, and Ben from We Beat the Spread. Guys, we have an amazing episode we're going to be breaking down today. We have an excellent MMA/UFC event for Saturday, and we have a full NFL card for Sunday. Joe, I'll go over to you. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing great. Cowboys got the victory yesterday. It's not so easy as it's been in the past. I was stressing all game, never felt good about it. Giants came to play, and Giants definitely closed the gap on the Cowboys. So it's going to be an interesting year.
As a Giants fan, I'm not exactly sure that the Giants closed the gap or if the Cowboys closed it themselves by getting worse. Don't get me started on that game. Very frustrated game. We'll go over to Ben. Ben, how are you today, my friend?
Doing good. It was a fun game last night. Hit my big prop. But yeah, I'm excited to get in some week 4. Vikings are 3-0. Can't complain.
Must be nice. JD, how are you today, my friend?
I am doing really well, man. Last night's game, the field goal, that sucked on the show. I actually did give out -5, so it was a push. So yeah, man, everything is good, and we have a great slate of games to go. So
absolutely.
I was just going to say, how about Vegas? That line landing right on 5.
Yeah. Like, how do they do that all the time?
The field goal missed, whatever. Just the fact that you think 5 is not a key number at all and it lands exactly on 5.
Yep.
Like, that's just so fishy.
It happens all the time. The Vegas odds setters are doing an incredible job at their job. They make it difficult for us, but that's why we are here to try and decipher these odds and give you guys the best plays possible. Quickly to the chat, guys, we have Josh here saying happy Friday. Happy Friday to you, bro. How about that missed field goal at the end of the game? What do you guys think about that? Braden Aubrey, best kicker in history, in my opinion. I know he's only been kicking a couple years, but what a weapon. What a freaking weapon. I believe it was 16 straight field goals at 50 or more. Of course, that's the one that he misses when half the world is on the Dallas Cowboys. So interesting one there. And we have another comment from Alias. Alias is saying Steelers money line only need one lock to hammer. Good news for you. That is one of the 5 games we will be breaking down. So more to come on the Steelers matchup in this show. But boys, we always start our Friday show with the MMA Hour with Joe and Ben. Guys, last week we did have no UFC, but there was a Contender Series, and I do know that Joe had some plays on that. So, Joe, go over how Contender Series did.
Yeah, that whole NFL game yesterday was fishy from top to bottom, but I'll stay on track here. So the Contender Series, it was good. 4 out of 5 fights were profitable. It led to a positive outcome of plus 2.5 units that night. We did have that one read that I did. So 4 out of 5 fights were profitable. The one fight that wasn't was a bad read, and that led us to go down to 2.5 units. Should have been like almost a double-digit unit night. So small winning night, still can't complain. And we actually hit our pod that night, which was 5 units won on just one fight, plus 275 odds. So
for people who don't know, pod is play of the day. I know most of you do know that, but if you're new into the gambling world and new into this, pod is the POD play of the day. And Joe, I do know that we had no UFC last week besides the Contender, but we do have an incredible card upcoming this Saturday night. I believe the main event is going to be by Renato Moicano versus Benoit Saint Denis. Any plays from you this weekend in the UFC card?
Yeah, so this is going to be that main event, Moicano versus Cutelaba. That's going to be a fast-paced fight. Both fighters are pretty aggressive. Moicano's known for being a submission specialist. He likes to get it to the ground, and once he does, you're in deep water. I would say Moicano and his 3-fight win streak is justified. He beat my boy Jalen Turner in a gritty, drawn-out fight. Jalen Turner had him hurt, and he came back, and he persevered. I believe Jalen Turner is going to be a future champion, and so I think Moicano has some high-quality wins in his tenure here in UFC already.
Absolutely.
So, Benoit Saint Denis, he's also fighting in his hometown of Paris. This could give him a little boost to put on the performance. So for this reason of both fighters being aggressive and for all the factors we see, I'm thinking it's going to go under 2.5 rounds for this fight. It is a 5-round fight, but I think it'll be done within 2.5.
Love that. Any other plays that you have on the card? Actually, before we do that, Ben, you have to hop in. What do you think about that play?
I like Yeah, I like the under 2. I like Saint Denis. I don't like the line. In fact, I hate the line. I hate that he's this steep. I would say if you have to make a play out of it, I do think he wins. You could parlay him with another guy you like on the card. There's a few ones that I really like. Actually third fight down on the card from the main event, Brito. I think he would be a decent parlay piece. I do think Saint Denis could knock him out. It's been a while since we've seen Moicano get knocked out. Last time he got knocked out was against Fiziev. But, of course, we know who Saint Denis is. He is an absolute killer. The pressure that he can put on some of these fighters, like he doesn't even necessarily need an unconscious knockout. It could be a TKO because he has some of the best pressure boxing we've seen in Moicano, like like Joe pointed out. He is a grappler. I think he's going to be a little out of the water on the feet. If he can get it to the ground, great. But I just don't think he will. Saint Denis has good takedown defense. So I do think Saint Denis keeps it on the feet, kind of gets him up against the fence, gets him pressured. I think Moicano might shoot out of desperation, but at the end of the day, I think Saint Denis' pressure boxing is going to be a little too much for him. I think he can get a TKO here, and it is 5 rounds. I mean, there could be a late one here too. If it was only 3 rounds, I think it would go the distance, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 4th or 5th round TKO from Saint Denis just from all that pressure. So I would take the KO on him, but I'd also look to definitely parlay him with something else because I think he wins, but there's no point taking that steep of a price on him.
I like that. Joe, back over to you. Any other plays for UFC this weekend?
Yes, let's go over to the featured fight of the prelims. Prelims are free to watch. The feature fight is basically the main event for the prelims before the main card starts. So on that one, we have a fierce fight. Usually these fights are great. Fight of the night contenders, exciting. And we have 2 candidates for that, and Ian Cutelaba and Ivan Urslan. So these 2 fighters are very, very aggressive. Urslan's known to have quick knockouts in the first round. He has a streak of them. Cutelaba going into the UFC was the same way. Urslan is taking a step up in competition, fighting Cutelaba, who is a UFC vet already. I believe this is Urslan's debut. If not, maybe I think he had 1 fight already in the UFC, but I think it's his debut. So he is stepping up in competition, and I do think this is going to end with another KO. This tends to happen when a new guy faces a UFC vet, even a vet in Cutelaba that is on a bit of a wishy-washy streak, win-loss, loss-win type of thing. I do believe that this is going to go under 1.5, and if you parlay that with my other under, that's a plus 136 bet right there. So I like the under on this as well, and that's my official play.
Love that from you. Ben, any thoughts about the Cutelaba fight?
Yeah, I actually have no play on that fight. I think the line is pretty good on it. It's pretty even, and that's kind of how I see it. I don't know if I lean too strong towards either guy. But I do have one more UFC play to throw out, and that's an underdog play. Actually, I'm Brendan Allen plus 175.
I'm on that too.
A great price here. I think Imavov's just being a little oversold in this spot with this line, just given the win streak that he's on. But you consider his last fight might have been stopped a little bit early. He was going to win anyway, but I do think it was still stopped a little bit early. He was still pressuring him a lot, though. And then before that, he got that majority decision against Delidze, who did employ a little bit of wrestling, which is what I think we're going to see from Allen here. A lot of people are just kind of low on Allen, I think, at this point. And Imavov's hitting that win streak now, hitting his stride, which has ballooned this line way over what it should be. I don't think he should be a 2-1 favorite. I think the price you're getting on Brendan Allen in this spot is really why I love this play. If it was lower, if it was close to even or something, I would say don't touch it. But you're getting a good price because he should be able to sub him if this gets to the ground. Imavov is the better boxer, but just the pressure, wrestling, and grappling we've seen from Allen is so good. And you look at Imavov's record, like, he hasn't faced that many predominant grappler wrestlers. Like, the last guy before maybe Delidze, if you count him, was Phil Hawes back in his second UFC fight, and he lost that fight. That's a fight he did not do that well, and he was taken down. So the last time he faced a true kind of grappler like that, and Hawes isn't even really a grappler, just more of a wrestler, but last time he faced a guy like that, he lost. So I really do think that Allen is kind of his kryptonite, and Imavov is just being priced here simply because he's on a pretty good win streak right now and has looked good, but not against guys like Allen.
Yeah, I just want to say I absolutely love that play. I didn't want to give it out today. Wanted to save some for the MoneyBall Metrics VIP, but yeah, you hit the nail on the head there, Ben. That's a absolutely amazing play.
Great point there, Joe. And guys, if you do want to get all of Joe's plays, make sure you tap into the MoneyBall Metrics Discord. It's free to join. You can get a ton of stuff here in there and a lot of plays. So make sure you guys get in there. It's the best community in the world. Join the MoneyBall Metrics Discord. Boys, It's about that time. You ready to dive into the NFL slate?
Oh, yeah.
Let's get it, boys. The bread and butter, the meat and potatoes. Game number one. We are going into the Eagles, who are taking on the Bucs. Eagles are coming into this game with the line currently set at -1.5. They are a slight favorite. We all know what happened with the Bucs last weekend. Pretty disappointing defeat. Ben, we're going to start with you. Any action in the Eagles-Bucs?
Yeah, disappointing game there. But really, I think the Eagles, I'm just so back and forth on what I really expect from this Eagles team, and especially now with some of those injuries that they have kind of mounting up. A.J. Brown, of course, he didn't practice, but he's still questionable. He might play. He's only played one game this year. And then you have Devontae Smith now. So it's like a lot of their receivers, neither of them practiced today. Yesterday. Neither of them practiced Thursday. So that's definitely a red flag coming into the weekend. They might play, but they're going to be banged up. You have Hurts who can kind of extend plays, and Saquon Barkley's looked excellent. If anything, I'd take his rushing yards in this game. It's just there's so many question marks with the Eagles that I do think this line is kind of spot on. Because if the Eagles were healthy, I would expect that they'd be around a field goal favorite. So with kind of some of that injury concerns, it dropped it a little bit. But I think I'd take the Bucs here. I'm just really back and forth on this one. It's probably, like you always say, the best play. Sometimes no play. Probably what I'm looking at here. I might take that Saquon rushing prop, if anything, but no play on the sides here, I think, for me.
Quickly, I do want to bring up this comment by Aiden because it's a great comment here.
Yes.
Do we think the Eagles are one of, if not the hardest teams to cap this year?
Yes, absolutely.
I had them right the last couple weeks, so I've done well on them, but I have seen a lot of people not being able to read this team. They are a tough team to read. So, I mean, if you have been getting them right, you've had some good luck because the games have been just so unpredictable. JD, what do you think about this game?
Just actually like Ben said, the Eagles, they have some guys that we don't know if they are going to play or not. I mean, you got Smith, you got Brown, and I believe that actually Lane Johnson.
Banged up.
Yeah, he's banged up too. Just with those three guys, they're such key pieces. And I'm not sure if the market is actually really pricing that right. And with that, the Bucs, they are kind of actually like banged up too. But in this game, I think that they're going to be able to actually score here. The line, just actually like Ben said, to me is very sharp. I would, if I had to take a side, it actually would be Bucs though. I feel like this is good. I feel like we're going to be seeing Eagles plays everywhere. Like, I feel like that's going to be like everybody's favorite play. And to me, that makes this definitely an actual Bucs spot or either pass. I kind of like this over also, though, because I think both teams will score here. I have actually not made a play on this game yet, but I'm definitely leaning over.
Joe, before I give out my pick, what you think?
Yeah, Ben and JD put it perfect. These teams both are struggling. They're both banged up, and it's just a hard game to read. I am leaning the under on this. I think their offensive struggles is going to lead to kind of a lower scoring game. I think the defense, it'll be more of a defensive struggle. I believe that, Hurts has been good, and there's still the dual threat there, but I don't believe that with all their injuries that they're going to be able to pull away from this game. But I do think they're going to – I do lean them have the -1.5 spread as well for this game, because with the Eagles, it's just – they just find a way to win football games. Like, yes, a lot of time, like most of these games that they've won in the last 2 years, a lot of them they were losing, they were trailing, they didn't look good. At least half of them. So I'm thinking that the Eagles are gonna play the same way. They're gonna struggle. They're not gonna put many points up on the board. But I think they find a way to pull it off and barely hit the spread.
I like that a lot. I'm also on the under in this matchup. I do think it's going to be a struggle for the Eagles to move the ball down the field. We all saw that their best receivers, both of them, are both not practicing. And I do think that we are going to see the Bucs do a heavy run game as well. I think that both teams are going to want to control the time of possession. And with that being said, I think the Eagles also have the advantage because they do have the better running attack. With all the injuries both teams have, I don't think this is going to be a take a lot of deep shots type of game. And I think the ball will be on the ground, which will keep the clock running. Give me the under 42.5. Definitely one of my favorite plays of the weekend. Guys, we have a couple questions here in the comments about this game we have to dive into. First one here from Hottie Toddy is asking, has it been a weird start to the year? We've covered this on most of the NFL shows we've done. It's been the weirdest start of the NFL I have ever seen. We're seeing the most outright underdog wins. Teams that are plus 5.5 or more win the game outright than we've ever seen in history. So it's definitely been a weird year, but I do think we are going to see some regression from those kind of stats, and we will see some favorites start to get some wins. I know we said that yesterday, and it ended up not happening because of Braden Aubrey, but I do think that it will be happening sooner rather than later. We do have another question from Diamond Dog, who's here every day. We appreciate you, Diamond Dog. Is Sirianni on the hot seat? Not yet. Not yet. He can't be on the hot seat.
Not yet. You can't freak out week 3 or even week 4, but I mean, obviously, if they miss the playoffs, because the end of the season they had last year, and then just kind of falling short in the playoffs years prior with Sirianni, like I would say he's on the hot seat if he can't deliver for the rest of the season. But you can't freak out over the first 3 weeks. I don't think it's just a little too early. But
they're also 2-1.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In first place in the NFC East. So they're in a good position. I don't think he's in any trouble. But I do agree, though, if they do not make a deep run in the playoffs and they have another second half collapse like they did last year, he could end up being on the hot seat. And by the way, I know I say this all the time. Is there a more unlikable guy in the NFL than Nick Sirianni? I digress. Just can't stand watching him on the sidelines. Let's move on to the next game, fellas, that we have on the slate. And we do have the Minnesota Bens, who are taking on the Packers. Big divisional game here. Ben, there's not much I need to intro. I'll let you take it away. Your Vikings have been unbelievable. Sam Darnold, only 27 years old. Did you just find your franchise quarterback? Are you trading J.J. McCarthy? What do you think about this Vikings-Packers game?
Maybe. I mean, and it's kind of been played out at this point, but just I'm not going to try and rant here about the Vikings, but just from a standpoint of Sam Darnold kind of finding gold in the middle of a pile of mud, because obviously he wasn't going to ever be successful in that Jets organization or even the Panthers. And then he goes over to San Francisco for a year. And I think that's what really changed his career around, because he was in such a good system with Shanahan and everything. And he got to sit behind Purdy. And it's not like he's some NFL vet, but they were doing very well on offense. They had a very good offensive scheme. He wasn't pressured to be the starting quarterback or anything. And then the Vikings, I think, kind of just fell upon a perfect situation with him. So obviously KOC, it comes down to coaching. It really does. KOC is the best coach. One of the best coaches in the NFL, I should say. And then Flores. I mean, you talk about Sam Darnold. What about Flores, who had Brock Purdy literally walk up to him after the game and say, that's a crazy scheme. Like, I had no clue what was going on. Like, they couldn't figure it out. And that's one of the best, granted, no Christian McCaffrey. Debo's back. Like, I get that. But still, if you have one of the best offenses in the NFL and you have their quarterback coming up and saying that's a crazy scheme, you're doing something right now on defense. So, and that kind of leads right into my pick. I do think the Vikings win this game. I do think they cover. And really it comes down to, I think they win this one and they lose next week in a letdown spot in London against the Jets. I really do think this leads up to one of their big 4-0 starts, and then they lose next week, which, we'll obviously talk about next week. But I think they can win this game. Jordan Love maybe might play. If he plays banged up, that's almost worse, because you can't play him. Best defensive units. Brian Flores blitzes at one of the highest rates in the NFL. He blitzes like 60% or something on second down. Like, he brings a lot of pressure. If you have a banged up quarterback, it's not going to be good news. The Packers have some injuries on their defense as well. So not trying to be a homer here, but I do think the Vikings win this game.
Right. Quickly over to the comments. I do want to put this stat out here. Tar Heel, great comment here. Crazy that Sam Darnold and Joe Burrow are the same age. When you take Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Sam Darnold, the youngest of the three is Sam Darnold. Just, it feels like he's been around forever, but he really hasn't. He's 27 years old, and he legitimately has a chance to have a long NFL career as a good starting quarterback. He's only 27, so very interesting here. You made another point that I want to address, which is, should the Packers play Jordan Love? And the answer is absolutely not. They actually have a good team. They have a chance to make a run in the playoffs. I do think the NFC is having a little bit of a down year. All the teams that were projected to be the best in the NFC, the 49ers, a lot of these teams have a lot of injuries, a lot of things that have gone on where they're not looking that great. Look at the Cowboys, another team that's Super Bowl or bust. We just paid everybody. They're 2-2, barely beat the lowly Giants. So I think the NFC is wide open. There's a lot that could go on here. For me, I agree with Ben. I am going to take the Vikings on the points here. I don't know if they will win, but in a divisional game, you're going to give me 3 points in this game. I do think the Vikings will keep it within those 3. That's exactly what I'm playing. Vikings +3. Joe, what you got?
Yeah, so you guys are right. Yeah, I like that. For Sam Darnold, he's been phenomenal this year. 657 yards, 8 touchdowns. That it's just the schemes are just wild this year. I think the Vikings have definitely found their franchise quarterback. Aaron Jones has been a key too at 5.4 yards per carry in a game. The only thing that makes me kind of weary is they're facing the Packers' top 5 rush defense. So I think that that's going to slow down a bit. That's going to kind of make it a little tougher for Sam Darnold to do what he's been doing this year.
Yeah.
And I think that for that reason, I actually like the under. I think under 43.5 is going to hit. Both teams have strong defenses, and both teams are going to come to play. And I don't think the ball is going to be moved up and down the field like that. I mean, Malik Willis, he's good. He's a good backup, and I agree. I think it's better if they just keep him in right now. Let Jordan Love go. He's been great, and he could win. He could definitely win. I don't have a play. I was actually leaning Packers with Willis, and if Jordan Love plays hurt, then I'm just not going to stay on the line at all. But yeah, I like the under on this.
Before we go to JD, do you think that we're going to see this line shift? So if Jordan Love, which I think will be ruled inactive, I just don't think you could risk him in this type of game. Let him rest another week or two because you don't mess around with knee injuries. He takes one shot, his season's over and could really hurt his career. You just paid him all this money, and Malik Willis is doing a great job. So I personally don't think they should play him at all. But do you think we will get a line change if Jordan Love is ruled inactive? I think this could move a full 1.5. Ben, I'll ask you. What do you think?
Yeah, that's actually a tough question because Jordan Love's obviously looked great. But like to your point, Malik Willis hasn't looked that bad. There's not a lot of players in the NFL that truly warrant major line changes. And I just don't know if the drop off is enough. I think it might go down to maybe because there's some places move to 2.5 now. Like it might move to 2, maybe 1.5. But I don't think we're gonna see anything major. And as far as sitting on that key number, if you're already getting 2.5, it's like you're already getting a little under a field goal or maybe at the field goal. I think it'd move off that key number, but there's not that many players in the NFL that truly warrant a large price tag like that. And that the current line we're seeing might already be factoring in that injury to Jordan Love. Like they're expecting him to not play already. So they might not move at all, to be honest.
Could be. Great point there. JD, let's go over to you. What do you like in this game?
The Vikings, they've been playing really well. As far as their defense to me, they've been playing really good, and I've been kind of shocked there because actually coming into the season, I didn't have them ranked actually very high there. So for me, that's just kind of like that's the one thing for them. Like, can they keep that up? Because if they can, this season for them is going to be really good. But that's my big thing there is just can they keep that up? And then on the other hand, as far as the Packers defense, if you just look at scores, it actually looks good. But if you really go into numbers, I actually think that their defense are kind of, I hate to say this, but kind of frauds. And as far as this Vikings offense, it has been doing very well. And as far as defenses go, really as far as a too high safety, you actually want to play that versus them. And that's something that the Packers do not like to actually do.
Yep.
So for me, this game, I just think the Vikings offense eats. This total is actually pretty low. And with the Vikings being the underdog, you can get their team total at a 20.5. I think that's too low. I actually think that they get to 24 points here. So for me, that is definitely my favorite play.
I like that as well. Good find there, JD. Excuse me. Let's move right along, fellas, to the next game we have on the slate, which to me is the fishiest line of the week. This is probably the most talked about game right now because a lot of people can't understand why the undefeated Steelers. Oh, excuse me. People can't understand why the undefeated Steelers are at this line with the Colts. Ben, we'll go over to you first as our Friday guest. What do you think about the Steelers Colts? Is this a trap game?
Oh man, I don't care if it's a trap. Give me the Steelers all day. I'm sorry. You're telling me Anthony Richardson, AR-15. I had higher expectations for him coming into the season. Colts were healthy. I expect them to blow out of the gates. And granted, they've had close losses. They were close. 10-16 against Green Bay, 29-27 against Houston. They've been close losses. But you just look at his stat line and not even just the stat line. You look at the stat line and then also just how he's actually looked on the field. Because sometimes stats don't tell the whole story. But I bet on them in week 1 against the Texans. I bet on them in week 2. And so I've watched a lot of these games so far, and it just doesn't look great to me. He already has 6 picks. He only completed 9 passes in that Houston game too. It's not like he's blowing teams out of the water and just narrowly losing because of defense or anything. Now the rushing game's been very efficient. Jonathan Taylor's looked good, everything. But I bring all that up because you are facing, and preseason, I placed the Steelers as my second best defense. They're living up to those expectations. They look like easily a top 3 defense in the NFL right now. You can just run down their defensive roster and name off top 10 NFL players defensively. Like, especially that defensive line, which, by the way, TJ Watt, if he records a sack in the next 5 games, he has 5 games to record 1 sack. And if he does, he'll be the second fastest player ever to 100 sacks. Like, future Hall of Famer on that line. They just have maybe one of the best linebacker rooms too in the NFL. They're going to bring so much pressure on Anthony Richardson, and defensively, the Steelers have absolutely eaten the Colts alive in their previous meetings over the last few years. So I'm just not seeing it from Anthony Richardson from what I expected this year. Justin Fields has been arguably getting the job done. He hasn't looked excellent, but they're getting the job done. They're relying on that's what they're doing. So they got something going right now. I don't know what's going to happen when Russ comes back and it's like, what do you do? But they got a good mojo right now. They got a good flow. I don't care if it's a trap line. I'm taking the Steelers.
I'll tell you right now, Russ, enjoy Miami if Tua can't go for the rest of the year because you are not starting a game for this Steelers team while Justin Fields is in there. The guy is undefeated. He has not been turning the ball over, and he's getting them wins week after week. He was a guy nobody wanted. The Bears could not find a trade partner for him. He was released. Nobody wanted Justin Fields, and he's looking like one of the top 15, 20 quarterbacks in the league. On the other side, Anthony Richardson. I'll put it this way how I feel about him. You guys know I'm a Giants fan. I would rather Daniel Jones be my quarterback for another 3 years before taking Anthony Richardson. This guy has no idea how to make mental decisions when throwing the ball away, when targeting deep balls. He consistently makes the wrong read and puts the ball in harm's way consistently. I don't understand this line. There's no way in hell I could back the Colts in this game. I'm all over the Steelers. I know it may be a trap, but I think this is one of the few the public may get. This is going to be the biggest public side of the week, and I still think the Steelers get it done. I'm not going to be playing the 1.5. I am going to be taking the Steelers money line because there's just something fishy about this game. If the Boz steps up and hits a 55-yard game winner to give them the win by 1, everyone who took minus 1.5 will be punching themselves in the face. I think that this one will be a Steelers win. I don't care if they win by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just get it done. Give me the money line, minus 125. Joe, what do you like?
Yeah, so you guys said it great. Justin Fields, he's not turning the ball over. So that was the key that we all agreed on, America agreed on, is can he keep the job? Yes, he can. Just do not turn the ball over. And so far he's doing that. And also 73.3 completion rate. So, I mean, he's doing what he should be doing. That's doing what he's asked. I would also say the versatile threat with the running game, Najee Harris, they're going to eat up that Colts run defense. They're 31 ranked in run defense, and I just think that's a recipe for disaster on top of the whole Anthony Richardson situation. But on the flip side, it looks like Colts are allowing 179 rushing yards per game. So that just adds to my argument. But also, Jonathan Taylor, one of their biggest weapons is 91 plus yards and 5 out of his 6 games. That has been the key to their success, but yet they're facing one of the best defensive fronts in the league. So, I mean, give me the Steelers all the way. Give me the Steelers, please.
Come on. Come on.
Money line. I don't care if they win by 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like you said, I'm with you, Alpha.
Pump me up, Joe. Pump me up. I'm with you. Let's go Steelers. JD, please don't make me upset. Please tell me your model has the Steelers by like 17.5 points. Give me something here.
There is no way that I can play them here. Absolutely no.
Should I mute him, guys? Let me know.
Yeah. Show's over.
Right. We are done. No, to me, this is a game that I want nothing with. The line doesn't really make sense. And this is a spot where just Tomlin, as a road favorite, this is the game that actually he would lose. Just with him, that's just how it seems to go.
Could happen.
And truly, just as this game, just as a whole, I actually really just don't like. I would actually lean to the over here. I see a little bit of value there, but it's not much. So I'm just going to pass.
So what you're saying is sometimes the best play is a play that you do not make on the game. This is definitely the trappiest game of the year. And a lot of people are asking us, remember in the comments early in the show, has this been the hardest season to cap NFL? Wouldn't this be the game that is a 45-0 Colts win and just show everyone how wonky this season has been, where everyone is so convinced it's the Steelers, and then the Colts come out and put 45 on them? That would be the 2024 NFL season in a nutshell. So we'll see what happens. I'm still pretty confident in the Steelers. So we have 3 of us on the Steelers and 1 of us that's not going to be taking any action. Let's keep it moving right along, fellas. Next game we're covering is going to be the Commanders versus the Cardinals. Interesting game here. Commanders are coming in 2-1. Have they found this year's CJ Stroud? Jaden Daniels looks like an absolute stud, and we saw it on full display last week. On the other side, the Cardinals have looked pretty good offensively as well. They had a pretty big hiccup last week, only scoring 13 points, but this is a very good offensive team. Marvin Harrison Jr. has looked like the real deal, and Kyler Murray looks competent. It's the best thing I could say about him. He looks competent, and he's created some plays. Joe, we'll go over to you. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, it's 2 potent offenses. And fun fact, Jaden Daniels is actually from my high school, Cajon High.
No way.
So, yeah, he's the alumni there.
Cool.
Our city is just so down in the dumps that when the parade happened for him, that was the first time I ever seen a parade in my hometown. So
Hey,
I'm just so proud of that guy. But being a Cowboys fan, it's kind of going to be rough seeing him 2 times a year. I'm so high on him. Drafted him early in fantasy, so it's going to be rough seeing that guy 2 times a year. But good for him. He has an 80.3 completion rate, 171 rushing yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. He's just a
beast.
Dual threat challenge. Yeah, a dual threat challenge for Arizona's defense. And then Brian Robinson, obviously we know what he does. And the Commanders do struggle. They're 29th in points allowed and 31st in passing yards allowed, which is slightly worse than the Cardinals' overall defense. Like you said, Kyler Murray's been on fire. 5 touchdowns, only 1 interception, 35 rushing yards. He's also a dual threat. James Conner rushing, doing what he does. They limit opponents to under 21 points a game, and I think that the defense is just going to be the key here. So for that reason, I'm going Cardinals by the hook, -3, and I like the over 50.5.
I like it. Quickly, I'll get my play in, guys. I'm all over the Commanders here. I don't think they win this game, but if you're going to give me 3.5 points on the underdog, I think this one does stay close. The Commanders have been playing a lot of close games, and they've been competitive in every game but their first one, which was Jaden Daniels' first career game. To me, I do see a couple comments in the chat here. Is Daniels the best rookie quarterback? We've had several of you say that. I absolutely think he is so far. But yet again, we do have to pump the brakes a little bit. We are only 3 to 4 games in. But that's what talking heads like us do. We talk way too early about what we think these guys are looking like. And there's no way you could pick anybody but Jaden Daniels right now. He's the real deal so far. He looks great. Joe, you put it perfectly. As a Cowboys fan, you do not want to see him twice a year for the next 50 years. Neither do I as a Giants fan, bro. So I'm in the exact same boat you are. I mean, at least they have to see Daniel Jones on our side, so they're in for it bad too. But no, I really do think the Commanders are a better team. They're coming in 2-1, first place in the NFC East, and they've scored 79 points this year. They have been putting points on the board with this rookie offense. I think they get it done. And there's a lot of injuries for the Cardinals as well. They have a star tight end, Trey McBride. He's not going to be playing. Marv is a true questionable. And they have a bunch of defensive line guys that are questionable as well. So they are a little banged up. Give me the Commanders. I think they're going to get it down plus 3.5. And if you would have told me before the season I'd be a Commanders believer, I wouldn't believe you that I'd be doing that. But they've played that well. They've definitely been impressive. JD, what do you got?
For me, the side here, I have absolutely nothing on this, but as far as every show that we've done here, everybody should know, as far as this Cards team, for me, this is a dead over team. And this week they get to play a team that's kind of like them. They have a QB that actually can move, run, and then also they have a defense that is really not good. So for me, these teams are kind of close. Actually, the Cardinals are the better team, but as far as how they play, they seem to be close though. for me, my eyes went to this, and the total keeps kind of bouncing around here. It goes up to that 51 range and then gets bought back down. I'm kind of shocked to be seeing that. I actually see a flat 50 here.
That's what I have too.
The model has it at actually 54. To me, this is just a clear over spot.
I like it. Quickly, before we go over to Ben, I have to say, Tar Heel, you're in here all the time. You make some amazing comments. This is not one. This is the craziest thing I've seen you post, brother. He's 4 games in, and he's better than the reigning MVP. Let's take it easy. Let's take it easy. It's a little early for that, but he has been very good so far this year. I cannot deny that. Ben, what do you got?
All right.
Uh-oh. Now I'm nervous. He's doing the hand thing. What's
This
going
is my
on?
favorite play on the board of the entire NFL. Week 4, easily my favorite play. This will obviously be on my best bets segment as my 3-unit play. Leaking it early. It's already, I know it for Sunday. This play, and I'm glad that JD brought up the total and the game style that we should expect to see. Not only is it at 50, it's the highest total on the board for week 4. It is the highest total. I should say on Sunday at least. I haven't checked the Monday games, but it's the highest total on Sunday, 50 points. We're expecting some offense here. We both know the Commanders don't have a great defense. They up a ton of points to the Bengals, over 30 points, and that was a good game back and forth. But I think the Cardinals, even with injured Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison maybe not going out, I still think they'll move the ball. I think we're going to get a back and forth game, which plays exactly this prop over. You guys know I love my props, and this one, I cannot believe it that it's this low. You have an amazing receiving running back in Austin Eckler, who has put up the 3rd most yards on the team behind Terry McLaurin and Zach Ertz. He's not playing this week. He's literally not playing this week. You have a guy that was an amazing receiving back, and all of a sudden, you look over, Brian Robinson Jr., the main starter who gets all the normal carries, he's sitting at 15.5 receiving yards. That is unreal to me. They have not adjusted. He will get probably 3 to 4 receptions in this game. You're telling me he can't break 15.5 on probably 3 to 4 receptions? Because he already got 3 in week 1 against Tampa. They were down a lot. He got 49 receiving yards. And then they're like, oh, let's use Eckler some. He got a bunch. So Eckler ended up getting a lot of the receptions the last 2 weeks. He's out with a concussion. So you have Brian Robinson now. He's going to be playing pretty much 100% of the snaps on a game that's supposed to be very back and forth. Going to be a lot of possessions, a lot of yards. I think he clears probably 15, or not only probably 15, but probably you can get 25 alternate on DraftKings right now, plus 175. You can get 40 for plus 475. I think he gets in that 30s, maybe up to that 40 range. He had 49 in week 1. So easily my favorite prop on the board for this week with Austin Eckler out with that concussion. I love this play using that best.
Guys, everyone check their mic real quick. Chat's going nuts. People say they hear a cow mooing. They hear vacuums. I don't know what is going on, but the chat is going crazy. Someone said it could be the ghost in my apartment again. We know he shows up all the time, so I apologize. Hold on, wait.
All right, everyone.
It's gone.
Get turn muting and we see who it is.
That's what I did. Did it go away there? I don't know. I can't hear anything. I hope it's not me. But we'll keep
going. I had
going.
to leave.
Could you guys?
It left.
It's gone.
Hey, you know what? Somebody said it perfectly though. They hear a vacuum. They hear something sweeping. Means we're sweeping the board. That's exactly what's happening. Okay. So we apologize for the audio, guys. I have no idea what that could be, to be completely honest.
Hopefully, you guys.
All right.
My rant about.
Nick is saying we're good. Nick is saying we're good. That's all that matters. So I apologize.
Right, perfect.
Has everybody broken that game down? Because I got super distracted by that. We've broken it down. Beautiful. We love to hear it. Let's move on to the game of the week. Bills, Ravens, Tar Heel. I know you're out there who thinks that Lamar Jackson is worse than Daniel Jones, but here we are to the Bills versus the Ravens. Ben, what do you like in this game? Game of the week.
Game of the week for sure. I think this is definitely a sleeper for teams we might be seeing playing at the end of the season. I mean, obviously the Chiefs will be up there, but they could arguably be 1 and 2. They just don't look the same right now. Although we say that every year, then they end up winning the Super Bowl. So who even knows at this point? But either way, I do think this could be a future AFC Championship matchup. So it definitely is the game of the week for me. I'm glad that it's a primetime game for us. I really do think the Ravens, I know people aren't necessarily completely sold on them, even still after last week because of their first 2 weeks. But that was an impressive get-right game against the Cowboys. Lamar played well. We saw him extend plays with his legs, as always. Derrick Henry on that team looks like they're gelling well. Even in a year that Mark Andrews doesn't look great, Isaiah Likely's doing good. So it looks like even though they are 1 and 2, we're seeing good things, and they are clicking. I know that they had a terrible fourth quarter collapse, which seems like what they always do, which is why my play will be not concerned with the the fourth quarter at all. I'm taking Ravens first half money line. I do think they get a strong start to this game after getting some momentum from that win against the Cowboys. They're coming back at home. Josh Allen can kind of be known for his comebacks as well. So we could I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Ravens lead at halftime and the Bills end up coming back and winning. Wouldn't be surprised at all. We've seen Harbaugh's coaching just fall apart in the fourth quarter as well as Lamar. So I think there's a strong start. I think Lamar really breaks this game open with his legs in the first half. Who knows what happens in the second half? Don't even care because I'm taking first half Ravens.
There we go. Well, I'm glad I didn't pick full game because I'll jump in here, guys. I'm all over the Bills on the money line. I do not need the points. I do not need anything. This Bills team is the better team here, and I think they get it done. I'm not exactly sure why the line is the way it is. It's a little confusing. It could be another trap game, but when you look at all the different details and all the guys who are active, all the guys that are injured, I don't anticipate the Bills losing this game. I think a lot of people underestimated the Bills, and I've spoken about it on this show. I underestimated this Bills. I thought this defense was going to be terrible. They lost 5 or 6 household name players on that defense, replace them with guys you've never heard of, and those replacements are playing better than the guys that they did replace. So this Bills defense has been a lot better than I anticipated. And you take a look at this Bills offense. They've scored 112 points this year. Nobody else is getting close to that number right now. Their offense is just clicking on all cylinders. We also know that Tar Heel in here thinks Lamar Jackson is a joke, so we know he's not on it. But me personally, guys, I am on the Bills. I think the Bills get this one done on the money line. Give it to me at plus 120. JD, I'm terrified. JD, I am terrified for you to tell me that your model has it 48 points the other way. What do you think is going to happen?
You know, I have been on the Bills. I was on the Bills on actually Monday night. You know, I took them first half, full game, the team total. I actually took them every which way. I am higher on the Bills than actually most are. That's why this line kind of shocks me. You know, especially with actually how the Bills just looked. I thought that actually money.
The ghost is here. Josh, look what you did. You put it in the universe. The ghost showed up. Thanks for that. Sorry, JD.
Yeah, as far as the line, from just how good they looked, I thought the line would actually be a little bit different here. I didn't think the Bills would be favored, but I thought it would be pretty actually much like a minus 110 game. So the fact that they are the clear underdog here, I do not agree with actually that. But to go back here a little bit, as far as Josh Allen goes, man, he's playing good.
MVP.
He really is. He's just making smart reads. He's not trying to force balls. You know, he normally tries to throw a 50-yard ball, and you know, this actually year he has actually cut out all of that shit. He's just making smart plays. And then as far as like third and fourth down, he just can't be stopped. He's just getting it. And for me, like I said, this line, I don't understand it. Give me the Bills. Give me the money line at a plus 115. And then actually, like as far as a teaser leg, I think this is a great piece. And yeah, I'm actually going to pair that with actually somebody. I'm actually not sure who yet, but yeah.
So you know what that means, everybody. You must follow JD/Line Movers on X, on Twitter, on Bluebird, whatever the hell you call the app. Make sure you're following JD. He will post that for you guys there. We all went over the Bills game, right? Joe, did you go yet? I knew it. Joe, you got to give your last breakdown of the day before we get into best bets.
Yeah, so I feel like we're pretty split on this game as a group.
Yep.
I do think Josh Allen's been playing phenomenally by not turning the ball over. So that was a big thing for him. 0 interceptions this year, but I do believe it might happen in this game, and I do think that there might be a little bit of a drop off. I'm not saying for the whole year, just we're human.
Spot.
We go up and down, up and down. I think it's going to be a little bit down. I like the momentum that the Cowboys gave the Ravens. The Cowboys seem to be a launch pad for these teams, and they're a launch pad. So I believe that the Ravens will continue the momentum. Lamar Jackson's at 700 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and we saw what Derrick Henry did to the Cowboys last game. So I just think that that they're going to be able to pull off this win. I do like that spread -2.5, but I do like Ben's. I think it was Ben's. Whoever threw out the money line for the first half. Yeah, Ben.
First half.
First half money line. I
hate
like that
Ravens
even
full
more.
games bets.
Yeah,
Four
full
before
games. So for that reason, I'm gonna toss away my spread and jump on the coattails of Ben. Give us the Ravens money line first half.
You never feel comfortable when you have a bet on the Ravens and you see any touchdown or less lead in the fourth quarter with Lamar. You just don't. With that, it's not even necessarily Lamar, the coaching too, but I never feel comfortable.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And JD, one more thing. What did you want to add to the convo?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that as far as the spot goes, this actually is a Ravens spot. This is not a Bill spot. But to me, the line is crazy enough to where I just have to play them though. So
yeah, I'm with you 100%. So it's me and JD versus Joe and Ben. And next week, me and JD will come in celebrating because we know we're hitting that Bills play. I'm just teasing, boys.
Well, I like that. Because we took first half. We could get Ravens first half, and you guys can win the full game. We could all be happy.
Nah, Bills by 90. I'm sorry, Bills by 90.
Doesn't always gotta be hostile, Alpha.
I'm not always hostile, but you do know what happened last night, right? There's 2 Cowboy fans in here and 1 Giants fan. I'm not exactly in the best mood. Quickly, before we go into our outlier POD and get into our best bets, we do have a couple interesting questions. I want to go back to Diamond Dog. You are the man, asking if Justin Tucker is washed. I personally don't think he is. I just think he's getting older. He's still good. But a lot of new kickers in this league are so talented that they're making him look worse than they are, like Braden Aubrey hitting 16 straight from 50+. It's just there's guys who have entered the league that are just so good that they're making him look worse. I don't think he's washed. I don't think he's as good as he was in his prime. I think he's slowing down a little bit, but he's still a valuable kicker in this league. You guys agree with me?
Yeah,
definitely.
Agreed. They're making him look normal.
He still has the NFL record. I mean, none of these young guys have beat him yet.
Not yet. Aubrey will get it this year.
Will probably.
Aubrey
record even could from Alabama.
What a weapon!
Huh?
What a weapon!
Aubrey actually tied him, and they reversed the call. Yeah,
they reversed it. He's 1 short, right?
And they reversed it.
Yep, he's 1 short
last year.
Yep.
He probably will break it somewhat soon,
fellas. We got to go over the collab outlier play of the day, guys. And if you guys aren't already following, you know what we do with these outlier plays. They hit at a crazy rate. Make sure you guys are checking out Outlier. It is the #1 source for getting prop information. You can find out how they've done on specific props, such as Ozzy Albies over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. You can see here, this is hit in 80% of his last 5 games. What does that mean? In 4 of the last 5, he's hit. He's been on fire doing that, and this is a big game tonight. We all know what's going to be going on and what's on the line in this series. We love this play. We think Ozzy Albies over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs is the best baseball prop of the day, so let's dive into it and cash it. Boys, it's about that time. We have just over 1,500 people here. Everyone is waiting for one thing, and we all know what that one thing is. Let's dive right into our best bets. Ben, we're going to go over to you. What's your best bet? How many do you have for the people? Do you have 1? Do you have 10?
I have 3, and they are all kind of a variety because I'm going back to the UFC. I'm going back to the one that I talked about, my favorite underdog. That's Brendan Allen. Favorite underdog on the card tomorrow. I think the price is great, plus 175. Then we head over to NFL. I have one side that is my favorite side of the week, which, like Alpha, you already mentioned it. It's going to be super square. Everyone's going to be on it. I don't care. The Steelers win this week. They're going to be my second best bet. I think the Steelers, you can just take the money line. Like you said, that -1.5. If there's a walk-off field goal, I'm going to cry. So take the money line, -1.5 there with the Steelers. Not -1.5, sorry, money line. And then last play, I already told you guys this was going to be a best bet when we did the breakdown. Brian Robinson Jr., over 15.5 receiving yards. Not adjusted at all for Eckler being out yet. I do think by Sunday that line could be up above 20. So grab it early, grab it now, because I do think that line is going to only rise quite a bit as the week goes on, because we're sitting here Friday. I think Sunday by game time, that thing's over 20. Grab it now.
Love that. Guys, quickly the chat before I go on to best bets. People want us to have a wager on this Bills-Ravens Sunday night game. I propose a cluck bet. We're all going to be here on Friday. If the Bills win, you two have to cluck on the show like a chicken.
Now, hold on.
And if the Ravens win, me and JD will cluck like a chicken.
Now, hold on here, because...
Are you mad because you can't cluck like a chicken?
Well, no, I can definitely cluck. The issue is, we took first half.
Yeah, but we have no way to kind of...
I know, but my part of my entire breakdown about the first half is that I don't trust Lamar or the Ravens in the fourth quarter. So why would I be comfortable making a bet on them to win?
Everyone in the comments, you asked for it. I tried. They're afraid the clock. It's not my fault.
No,
okay.
I'll do it.
We'll do it.
Straight up.
Okay.
Ravens. We'll do
straight up. We don't need the points. We don't need the points.
Yeah. We're not clucking.
JD, you win?
We'll be fine.
They're clucking. Beautiful. Let's keep it going with best bets, boys. The deal is on. You guys got what you wanted. Let's go over to Joe. What are your best bets? Yeah, we'll see. We will see.
All right, so let's head over to UFC for the first best bet. It'll be that under 1.5 for the Ian Cutelaba versus Ivan Ursula fight. That fight, we got it's going to be a barn burner. They're going to come out swinging. Both guys have a streak of knockout in the first rounds, and I actually see this being late first round or early second round KO for Ian Cutelaba. So let's go over to the second one. I'm actually throwing out 3 props. The second one is Jalen Naylor on the Vikings to get over 1.5 receptions. He's been projected increasingly. The Vikings spread their targets out very well lately with this new scheme, and I do believe that Naylor will get the ball at least a couple times, and that's the line I have set is 2. So give me over 1.5.
Right.
And then for the best bet 3, Greg Dortch over 2.5 receptions. He's in the Cardinals. He's on the Cardinals, and he's been a reliable target. I have this line set at actually 4 receptions for him, and I think he'll get that over 2.5. So
I love that.
The Cardinals are going to involve him in a lot of short yardage plays. So give me that over 2.5 receptions.
They're banged up too, the Cardinals. Marvin Harrison Jr. may not even play. If he does, he will be limited. Trey McBride is out as well. So I absolutely love that last prop that you put in there. I'll give out my 3, fellas. My first one is going to be the Minnesota Bens at +3. I think the Vikings get it done. Very confident in that play. Second play, I have the Commanders +3.5. I'm targeting the dogs this week. Y'all already know where my third and final best bet is. It's the cluck bet. Bills are winning, and y'all will see Ben and Joe cluck like chickens next Friday. JD, we still have over 1,500 people here, all waiting on your best bets. What you got for the people?
All right. I guess I'm going to go with 3 also then.
You better put the Bills.
Let's go start off with the Bills. Let's go with the Bills on the money line at +115.
That's right.
Then let's go to that Commanders and Cardinals game. Let's play the over 50 at -110 there.
All right.
And then my favorite bet of the week by far, give me the Vikings team total over 20.5 at -110.
I love it. Fellas, we broke down the UFC. We broke down the MMA. We broke down the NFL. It's time for us to get out of here and reap the benefits of our hard work. We're going to be cashing these plays. We have to thank everyone in the comments. It's been insane today. I haven't even been able to get to half of you guys. We appreciate every single one of you. If I miss a comment, I do apologize. I try my best to get every single one in there, but we do sometimes have to keep the show moving. Footy Chancellor, stop putting in Bayern Munich soccer plays in the chat. Nobody's putting that on the screen. Guys, it's been an absolutely awesome show. JD, you know what we have to do here. Say goodbye to the people.
Yeah, there's actually one thing left to say.
No, stop doing that, bro. It's a Georgia play. Everybody, don't listen to the hat plays. It's Georgia. We will see you on Monday. We appreciate every single one of you.